Hey, Frank.
Good morning, Amanda.
Today we're going to talk about brand strategy versus marketing strategy.
And I am very excited.
I am too. It is important. Sorry, I have to cut you off. Well, I have questions for you about it.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is the biggest difference between the two?
This is a passion topic for me because I think it's critical. I'll preface with both are equally important. I think in most environments, both are equally important. So brand strategy, the simplest way to say it is brand strategy solves for perception. Marketing strategy solves for action. So what I mean by that is perception is how people feel about your business. It's their emotional reaction to what you offer. It's the value that they perceive by what you offer, or how clearly they understand who you are and what you do, right? All those things that is just reaction based by your customer, prospective customer. Marketing strategy that solves for action is a little bit more about like, hey, are you getting people to engage more? Do you have enough volume of content? Are you broadening your sales funnel? Once your idea is solidified, or once the thing that you're trying to communicate is really well established, then you have to build on that. You actually have to build movement around it. So that's to sum up, again, brand strategy is perception and marketing strategy is action.
I love that. That's super simple. I love it. So brand strategy, when a brand is actually doing it, like what does that look like? And how can you tell when you need it?
So I'll try and give some examples too of like when, kind of like an if then, right? So for example, if you're having a hard time increasing price, right? You're getting a lot of pushback on like, I don't think it's worth that dollar amount, or I can't increase my price over time. That can indicate that people don't see enough value in what you offer, right? The perceived value is really what we're going after with any type of brand strategy. And increasing that can be really hard, but when you have the leverage you need to increase price and increase your margin. And I think that because of that factor, brand strategy and perception can often be really overlooked. People tend to rely on tactics, marketing tactics really quickly. And I get that because they're probably the easiest and the quickest that you can use. But at the same time, that's not going to be what actually gets you to be able to leverage any type of perceived value to build up margin. So it's incredibly.
Oh, yeah. I even think like the marketing piece and you are creating a brand strategy, whether you know it or not, by the marketing that you do. If you don't have a brand strategy in place, like what you're talking about with value, if you don't think about that in your tactics, you're going to do it on accident, and it's not going to be what you want.
100%, right? And Marty Neumeier, for anyone listening that happens to know brand stuff, we've talked about him before. He's like, it's the most famous quote around brand is like, the brand is not what you say it is, but what they say it is. And so we actually can't control our brand's perception, but we can influence it significantly. And so when we do things that influence it, just like in a relationship, I might send cues to you that I'm a certain type of person. I can offer this type of value. I can't control what you think about me, but I can certainly probably influence it. The same thing is true for brands. So, with that said, it could also be if people don't really understand, or they're not clear about what you do, or are confused. So honestly, I tend to put messaging as a bit more into the brand strategy bucket than I would probably the marketing. And people use words differently, and that's okay. I don't care that much, but at the same time, like if people don't know that and you can't make that really clear, you're going to have problems finding product market fit if you're a newer product or a newer company. But you just have to have a really big idea, central controlling idea. I think Don Miller talks about that, about the thing you do that no one else does, right? And the last thing, probably the most prevalent one, is like brand architecture or product architecture. So if you either are a bigger company that acquires brands or products or whatever it might be, or you're a smaller company who's building those out internally, there can be a lot of havoc and a lot of problems that you face if your line extensions are not aligned really well. Either they have too much overlap, meaning they're too similar, you don't know how to differentiate them within your own company, or they are just not connected enough, right? You make a soap and then all of a sudden you make like file cabinets. Like, well, those, what do you really do there?
Yamaha, motorcycles and pianos.
Exactly. Yeah. It's worked out okay for some companies. But anyway, yeah, that's a little bit more about like maybe some tactics that would be involved in brand strategy.
I love that. So marketing strategy, when, after you have your brand strategy in place or know what your brand should be and the perception that it has, what does marketing strategy look like and how can you tell when you need it?
Marketing strategy is probably a lot more clear, because perception in brand strategy can feel a little bit more subjective. There's still ways to measure that. Marketing strategy is much more tactical and action based, or at least it should be. That's when it's most effective. So examples of that is like, if you're not getting, if you have new customers, but you're never getting them to become repeat customers, right? It's likely, again, not all the time, but it's likely that you would benefit from just having more marketing materials, having tactics that engage people after you've already, had them as a customer. That could be nurturing emails or follow-up emails, or bringing them into a sequence. It's like, hey, once you're a customer, we're actually going to continue to serve you, not stop after you've become a customer. It could be true, like if you have a good audience base, but you need more customers in that same sector, it's likely you just may need to increase the volume of your activity, right? Creating more surface area for awareness or acquisition or engagement in like the top of funnel areas. You just need to do more. That's as easy as that sounds. Hard to do, but either you're not getting organic traffic to your website. So if you need to have a digital presence, you're a digital company, which most companies, I think, to a certain extent, are at this point, especially within the last 2 years. But you don't have any traffic coming to your website, it's likely you're significantly just lacking content. Or if you're trying to put out a bunch of blogs and articles, they may not be fit for search intent. Your keyword strategy may be, off or lacking or whatever that might be. And then I know you had some thought, we've talked about it before, you had some thoughts around like inconsistent purchase behavior, right? We were talking about this earlier, like 1 month you might have 300,000 on a certain product, and then on that same product next month you only have $200, and then the next month's like 1,000, and then it's all over the place all the time. I mean, they're going to vary, but it's just those types of variations are usually indicative that either if you're running ad sets, those ad sets may be old or fatigued in the market, meaning they've run way too much. People are just not engaging with them anymore. Your sales funnel isn't consistent, meaning sometimes you're doing a bunch of blogs and a bunch of ads and a bunch of this, and the next month you're really not. So look at those indicators that you can usually treat as levers to increase activity most of the time.
Yeah, I love that.
I don't know if you have any thoughts on that or.
No, I want to reiterate what you said at the beginning about the difference between brand and marketing, because to me that was like just the simplest, easiest thing to understand. And I would love if we could just run through that one more time. What's the difference between brand and marketing strategy?
Brand strategy aims to fix perception. Marketing strategy aims to fix action or inaction, therefore. So brand strategy, perception, marketing strategy, action.
I love it. Frank, I loved this video. Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time. Appreciate it, man. Talk soon.